Hey, everybody, welcome to this week's Fateless podcast episode. Joining me from the team is going to be Simon, Sham, and also Tim. Tim, it's been a while since we had you here on an episode. How you been, man?
It's been a hot minute, shows, and thanks for having me, man. I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Loving life, having a good time. Excited to be here. Excited to talk about beta potentially.
Yeah, this is gonna be a fun one because we've got some updates coming down the pipeline, and I'll let Simon kind of kick it off and talk about that further.
Yeah, so I guess we've been having a lot of internal discussions around what do we want the beta, or in reality, it's probably more like an alpha experience to feel like. And I guess what we originally planned was here's a bunch of elements of the game, and you guys can jump in there. Some of those elements are pretty polished and start to experience what the game's like. So that could be anything from running the normal level of campaign, start to run some of the early level of dungeons, start to get that kind of like core loop of building your heroes and building teams. So really what we want to get from a beta is, what does the gameplay feel like? Has it got like a good feel to combat? Has it got a good feel to earning these different heroes, leveling them up, experiencing different team combinations, that type of stuff? So that's kind of what we were looking for. And we had some internal discussions this week. And really, this is kind of like dropping half the press, really, because we've got a different idea, which we think is going to be pretty cool. And I want to kind of chat it through with you guys. So we're thinking, why don't we go for more like a community challenge? So ultimately, it's like the same type of things we want to test. We still need to test those things, right? So, everything I've just said there is still really key for us to get feedback on. But if we had a tower, let's say it's got 100 to 200 levels, and it is a challenge for who in the community can get highest in their given time period during the beta. And within that, you still have different levels which will drop materials or heroes or gear or what have you to enable you to continue to progress through the tower. But ultimately, it becomes like this challenge mode where, within a couple of weeks, it's like, who's going to get to the top and, basically, get themselves set in stone in terms of, the best beta players for Godforge.
Yeah, we have some things we probably, Dan may sneak in here and be like, hey guys, let's not talk about that right now. We've got some really interesting things about for the winners or the people that are able to complete the tower and stuff like that. But yeah,
but I guess as a theme, as a change of direction, I guess Tim, we'll throw it to you. What's your initial thoughts as I'm talking through it?
Yeah, man. I mean, it sounds awesome. I think people love a good competition, right? And similar to the Hades free to play challenge, right?
It's what inspired it, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't participate, but I did watch the leaderboards. I thought it was fun, and I saw the competition. Obviously, the creators. I mean, so many creators are chomping at the bit. So this is a cool way to get them involved in their communities, right? And even if you're not going to try to win it and go super try hard on it, it sounds like you get to experience maybe a lot of what the game has to offer through the challenge versus maybe the daunting task of having to understand everything without a roadmap, right? Or a compass from the beginning. Is that kind of like, was that kind of your goals along the process?
Yeah, because there'll still
cool.
be that early progression of, the first levels are going to be very easy to beat, even if you've got no real experience in this type of game. And we're going to give you the tools in those first few levels to start to be able to empower the different heroes that you've got. You'll then be fighting your first mini boss, and it might be, okay, that mini boss is going to drop a hero for you. It might be an epic hero that comes into your squad and helps you to progress towards the next boss. So there'll be these kind of like mini bosses going into waves of enemies for different tower levels into a main boss, and then a kind of rotation up from there, really, with enhanced difficulty as you go. The need to perhaps go back and farm some of those earlier levels for more experience, or for more gear, or for more heroes, or to start to awaken some of those heroes that you've got to be able to strengthen your squad to be able to progress further over the next couple of days.
Yeah, it's like we want to make sure that we're getting a lot of, we really understand, I guess, like the camera is feeling good, the combat is feeling good, the controls feel really, really clean, the characters that we actually are bringing into the game feel interesting and varied, and people care to like switch them up. So we're gonna get a lot of information, and we felt like keeping it as like a tight experience where people can be like, okay, I'm gonna, I've got X amount of energy today. I've got this squad. I really want to go after this gear set. Let's just say, for example, so I'm gonna go farm here for a while. Oh, I got that piece. And what should I spend? Oh, I needed to level it up. So let me go into this area. Like really seeing what players do, And then secondary, I mean, the other, not even secondary, like one of the things we want to do is thank the community for all the support and the help, right?
Yeah.
In a sense, you guys are going to be testing and giving us this feedback. And so then obviously, the more active you are in this and that type of stuff, we will reward you when the game does obviously go live. That's a part of also what we definitely wanted to do.
Do you keep, I mean, that's the first question. Hopefully it's an all right one, but do you keep what you do, or are there bonuses based on how you perform that will carry into the global or the beta or whatever comes next?
So definitely you don't keep what you get. And that was going to be true
No
for
matter
what we
what.
had
No matter
planned
what.
anyway, because but what we was always thinking was anyone who's involved in this group, who's basically coming on, playtesting the game, giving us all that valuable feedback, and actually has been standing by us, honestly, for the last 18 months, 2 years, whilst we've been hard at work developing this game, starting to build the hype for us. We're going to reward those guys. So, and it will be a straight up whoever does the best in the tower, because we'll have that ranked on a website. Might even use hellhades.com, you never know. We'll have that ranked out, and it'll be a case of, okay, well, whoever does best in the event will get some cool cosmetics, portraits, skins, that type of stuff.
And it goes down from there.
Everybody who participates, X amount of days during the event will get rewards for go live. So we'll be able to link those accounts back up to their live, or their emails up to their live, and it'll be like a nice drop of shards.
You'll be
and energy
psyched.
and
You'll be
all
psyched
of this type
when
of
you
cool
get what
stuff.
you.
Yeah, stuff that's going to give you a nice little head start, I guess, but not so crazy that other people that start playing the game think, oh my god,
That's
I'm
always
miles
the tough
behind.
part, right?
Yeah,
Is you
it's
want
like
to
this weighing out.
incentivize
Nice
people
balance.
and make it worth their time, but at the same time, you disenfranchise everybody else who's like, well, these
Yeah.
guys have been
How come I
grinding
didn't
for
get to go in
special
the- and it's
rewards.
like-
Yeah. But it is cool because you found a way to incentivize and reward players who are helping, to your point, helping you play test the game. Because so many times I hear from developers, and you guys have too, that like they're like, we need play testers. And it's just like, it's kind of like a lot of people are organically excited and don't need any motivation. But at the same time, if you're really going to commit, some dedication on a game that you're not going to be able to keep anything, it's nice to get some sort of reward or even a token, whatever it may be, for the time that you put in. So I like it. You'll be able to experience the rest of the game as well, or it will be mainly oriented to just this tower?
No, so we're thinking just this tower, and a couple
Cool.
of reasons actually. So we're thinking like we didn't really want to spoil all of our story, all of our cutscenes, all of the work that's going into that side. It's one of those things. Once you've kind of played it and done it, certainly the initial campaign, the initial story, when you're then coming back through that in a couple of months' time,
It's not as special.
my dog's going crazy. It won't land the same, right? So we really didn't want to spoil that, and then we were thinking, well, maybe we just do one or two cutscenes to give you a flavor of what they would be like. But again, it feels so disruptive because we're going through the campaign, and then it'd be like, well, I feel like I haven't really got much of this story that I've started to learn about.
Yeah.
So we just decided, let's park the game. The development of the game continues whilst everyone's enjoying this different game mode. But ultimately what it is just like a sped up version of progression through the game, through this tower. So you still get the core elements of gameplay. You just get it in like a real
You get
sort of compact
teasers
experience.
too. It sounds
Yeah, a
like
little
you
bit
get some
of a
mini
tease.
bosses, some first
Yeah.
looks, and then you'll be able to connect those dots when it's actually go time in the future.
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Well,
that's
and
the
those-
idea.
And those characters will be like, so I mean, like to speak to what Simon was talking about with what we've done, like we've really been spending a lot of time building out the lore of the universe, and man, it's really shaping up. It's something that it started as like, hey, we want to make sure that this is not an afterthought, and then it went to like, oh man, we've actually built something really freaking cool. Like, let's make sure that all these pieces fit together. Like you'll notice it in the environments, like some link to what's happening in the story. You'll notice it in the characters and the way they interact. We've got kind of a little bit of a mystery. We really just don't want to ruin that type of stuff, like in the story. So we felt like, hey, this would be super fun. And as you said at the beginning, Ash, that like it's nice not to have to be like, okay, I got to figure out all these systems, right? And I only have a couple weeks or however long this thing goes on for, and then I won't necessarily get to keep the exact squad and stuff that I've built. So this feels like, okay, we've got this teaser alpha event type of deal. We've got this limited set of characters going up the tower. or down. We haven't decided on the.
Oh yeah, it could be
We'll
down,
talk.
yeah.
We'll
Yeah.
decide like how that actually. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Um,
I'm curious. So, Brad, so I know that you were involved in the Diablo Immortal kind of like launch, and you were quite heavily into that. They had the same type, not exactly the same as this, but very competitive element to like that first group of players that played that game. Like, I guess, did that change your feeling towards the launch? Um, yeah, I mean, tell us about your experience with that.
Yeah, no, I love the way that you guys kind of came on board with doing the beta, and it'll be a lot of fun. And especially if you can do what you pulled off with like, I think people love the PvE VP, where it's like, oh, I get this leaderboard, I can see how well I'm doing. You get some banter going on. If you can pull that off with a leaderboard that like connects to the game and people can see who the top 1,000 are that get this, I think it'd be hype. And Diablo 4 did a similar thing.
That was Diablo
What
4, right?
Yeah, where like the first 1,000 people to beat the game on hardcore mode got etched into a statue, and that was really
Yeah.
hype. So I think if we can get anything in that vein, the community's gonna love it.
Yeah. Are you on that statue, by the way? I can't remember if you got onto that.
Yeah. No, I have a picture on the statue when I went to Blizzard headquarters, and I kind of took a picture standing next to it and all that. So
See,
yeah, no,
that's super cool. Like,
yeah.
I actually love that. Like, I love, and it was actually it was Dan who kind of came up with this idea of why don't we turn this into a community event and do something similar to what the guys Blizzard did with Diablo 4, because I just think, for us anyway, like we need this information. So why don't we do it in a way that community get like a real sort of hype moment behind it? And as you were saying, Tim, content creators, rather than just, I'm playing through the campaign, it'd be like, right, guys, I'm going for floor 112. We know this is a hard floor. This is the team I'm building out. It's just a different type of message when they're trying to like talk about the teams they're building. And ultimately, that's what these games are all about for me. It's like, how do I overcome the different puzzles that are in front of me? It's actually why I really love doing the free-to-play challenges, because the game's a challenge again, and for Raid, that is, the game becomes a challenge again for that period of time. Whereas, you can be on kind of like autopilot for a lot of the time when you've been playing for a while. So yeah, I feel like it could be just quite a kind of buzzed or hype moment for people as they start to beat those challenges, which are clearly difficult to get past.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool. It's communal because it's not just creators. It's everybody,
Yeah.
but you can play along with your favorite creator or whatever, So it's really cool that everybody can get involved. I'm sure the question is not public, or the answer to this question is not public yet, but when are we talking, guys? When are we talking?
Yeah. Look, I
Over,
always get in
under
trouble because I
3
say
months.
I
Don't
say
get
a
us in
time,
trouble,
and
Simon.
everyone holds
Don't
me
get
to
us
the
in
exact
trouble.
time.
Ash comes in here. He's like a bulldozer. He's like, I got this question for you guys.
Yeah, it's a fair question. So originally, what we were planning for the beta was end of May, and in reality, there's been a couple of systems which wouldn't have made that work anyway. So, and the main one actually is just getting visual effects on the heroes that we've got built so far. So we're going to easily have the amount of heroes we wanted for end of May done, and bosses actually, but to have them all to the point where they feel super polished, we wouldn't have got to that, right? And that's something which we were going to talk about anyway. But ultimately, we're probably going to be, I'd say, a month later than that. So end of June into early July to have this kind of like really polished, a great experience, to get all of the different systems we need to hook up to this to make it actually this kind of like competition and visible event rather than just something we're kind of running on a Discord server. So there's a bit more work that needs to be done, but I think it's worth the extra time, and it will give us that time for the VFX artists to do a lot of their polish work anyway. And so the heroes that we're bringing through do feel finished rather than here's kind of like
This looks pretty
50%
good.
which feel really finished, and then you got 50% it's like, oh, these don't feel as good, but I don't know why. And actually it's because they're not finished.
It's going to be tough to always, it's that pendulum of wanting to give people something. Because I see the comments to these podcasts sometimes. They're like, where's the gameplay? Show me more gameplay.
Of course, yeah.
And I get it but at the same time, it's like, okay, you can say till you're blue in the face, like, oh, this is not complete yet. This is a work in progress. But you give that gameplay very, very early in games like this, and people can just form an opinion super early, based on a little tiny clip.
And I've seen some people doing reactions to my videos in a negative way where they've already formed that opinion. It's like, look at this UI, and we're like, and I
And
really
it's
just want
about
to go.
you
I
saying,
want to
this
go
is
and knock on their door.
Yeah, yeah.
I want to go and knock on their door and be like, dude, like the UI is not finished yet. It's placeholder stuff. Like it's unusual to do what we're doing in terms of being as open as we are, and it's actually it's funny being on the other side of it as the game developer, because you're like, oh man, I wish you understood where we're at.
Yeah,
You
I
know?
wish you really
Yeah,
understood like what was
because
coming next.
we're showing you stuff that honestly people just don't show.
Yeah.
And that's hard. It's hard to see that side of it, honestly, because you're kind of like, we know that we're moving in the right direction. We play this game, play test the build every single day, right? Every single day. And Sham and I will be in meetings and we're like, it's getting better. It's starting to feel pretty clean.
That's
But
cool
there's
to see those
still
incremental gains on your end.
this to fix, and we're well aware that there's bits still to do. So, and I've said it a number of times, even for this kind of like alpha or beta experience, we're not going to put something out that doesn't feel good, because even though it's an early experience, having someone's kind of like taste decide whether this is a good experience or a bad experience, we absolutely need the majority to be like, this already feels really good. So, yeah, I mean, we're thinking probably put back to around early July, honestly, end of June, early July, with the different systems that we're trying to build into this. But all of that is guys, it depends like where we're at.
It's a God-forged summer. It's a God-forged summer.
That's what we're going for.
Baby.
Yeah, that's what we're going for.
Cool.
Yeah, it's such a testament, to speak to your point, Simon, to like the overall community, like positivity. That's a rare thing that you kind of see, like that people will come in and they're complaining and they're saying like, oh, this UI doesn't look finished. Like, well, yeah, we told you it's not finished. We said that. But on average, people are like, kind of what you're saying. They see the progression. They're like, oh, that's really cool. The last video I watched, it was like this, and now it's like, oh, this whatever system, if it's VFX or character or whatever it is, this looks way cooler. So we're I don't know. I think that we're just really excited to be able to put out something in that, hopefully beginning of July. I think that's pretty realistic to put that in front of people and say like this, hey, if now evaluate this, like, how do you feel about these systems? Does this feel good? Do these characters feel polished? Does this camera feel good? Do these controls feel good? Other transit, whatever. All the things that that kind of like sum up to this is a good game. And that because that's what we need, right? We need that we have confidence that we're making a great game, but we really want to, we want to hear from the people that helped us make it, in a sense, right? The community really helped us make it in so many senses of the so many senses, right? So yeah, I don't know. I'm excited about this. I was a little nervous to start talking about this because we still have to have a conversation with some of the leads around like, okay, how does this work? But I think at the end of the day, this is the right direction. People are going to be psyched about it. Like
I just feel like it's the right direction in a number of ways. I think the community are going to be pumped to be involved in it, more pumped than they would have been for kind of like just a dry run through of the early level stuff. Because there's that kind of like challenge element. It's still a lot of fun. There's things to win, which you can then be rewarded for when we go live. So that side all kind of fits for the community side for me. And then also we still get the super valuable feedback that we're hoping for from this type of early test. And obviously, that's huge for us. There's a number of metrics which we just need to understand. Well, at what point do people stop playing? Why are they stopping playing? How do you feel about these boss mechanics? Are they too tough? Are they too easy? Do you have enough tools to be able to overcome those things? Like all of these questions, which we think we will have answered, it completely changes when you start to get thousands of people playing a game. And suddenly it'll be like, Brad's out there designing heroes and thinking that he's done a good job of balancing. He won't have realized that this common alongside this legendary combo is absolutely super OP, because you just can't test every single combination, and you think you've got a nicely balanced game, and then suddenly there'll be 2 or 3 people in the community that just come out with something, and you're like,
guess what I found?
That's
and you're
nuts.
Like, that's the cool part from your perspective, though. As a game designer, like it's almost, I mean, I don't want to put words in your mouth, Brad, but like it's got to be fun to see people. Okay, you've created all this. Now let's see what people can do. Can they break it? Can they, and how can they break it? It's cool. I'm curious from your guys' end though, how much of that player feedback comes from direct feedback in Discord and tickets or whatever systems that you guys have versus just their behavior, like, and how do you weigh both?
It's very much both. I mean, I think a big part. So yeah, I mean, there's certain weight to, I just experienced something just now, and I either said thumbs up, or wow, that was terrible. That actually has that, I would say that has a lot of weight, because that really gives you like the sentiment of the second. But I mean, the other thing that, as Simon mentioned, is, well, someone decided to leave the game, right? Turn the game off. And if everyone seems to decide to turn the game off at stage 25 or whatever it is, that's a big indicator that something has gone wrong, right?
Yeah.
And then the
Or if
last
everyone's
one,
leaving the game when it's like you've still got half your energy, and that, for this group of players, if you're leaving the game consistently with half your energy, you're like, you're not
something's wrong.
enjoying this as much as we think you should be. So there are definitely like signals like that. To what Sham was talking about with this kind of like thumbs up, if there's just something in game that says, did you enjoy that boss experience? Yes, kind of, middling or no. Again, like,
Yeah.
when you get thousands of players playing the game, that's actually really valuable feedback.
Yeah.
We are super active though in Discord as a group, and sentiment which is also kind of like relayed in longer form is really interesting as well.
Crucial.
Because if someone really like goes to lengths to say, actually, this is what I didn't enjoy about this experience, or this is what I really enjoyed with more detail, then obviously we can take some of that and start to translate that into improvements as well. So,
Yeah.
sorry, Sham, I can't cross you there. What?
No. It's a good point, because I mean, like in those surveys, people, so more often than not, and this is the way that I typically am about these things, it really is just like a amazing, a okay, or a terrible is what people basically will put. And then if they take the time to write out like, hey, I hated or loved, or I felt like this was not that interesting, it's like you really want to pay attention to that, because that's a player that's passionate and wants to express, like what they feel about it. And it's easy to just brush that type of stuff off and just say like, oh, it's just someone who is just trying to be a hater. It's like, no, we read everything, right? We go in there, and if someone really says like, oh, I hope you guys fail, because that tells you that they love something else more. And it's like, okay, well, I want to understand, try to read between the lines. You can't, and you can't take it to heart, but you do have to, it is a part of the overall like sentiment, that we're really trying to gauge, at the end of the, because at the end of the day, if let's say sentiment was medium on average, we felt like it was medium, that's not a game you want to release.
No.
Right? That's something that's ready to go. It needs to be quite positive, and really we want to be like, damn, people love this game. People are incredibly, they're chomping at the bit to get in front of this, be playing this game all the time. So that's the way we.
So what happened? I mean, maybe not to ask you're tempting me, Sham, with the questions, but like, so what happens if there's a medium, if it defies the odds and there's a medium response? Do you guys just take longer time between beta and launch and just go in there and kind of rethink whatever that data tells you, basically?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's the thing. So like, I think, and again, we haven't finalized exactly how this is going to work. So take this at face value here. Don't take it at face value. We think that we're going to do several different groups. We're going to say like, hey, this is group one, and that'll be its own test. And then this is group two, and that's its own test, right? And in between each of those, there's a period where we're going to try to fix something. So let's say, for example, we got, obviously very unrealistic, but let's say we got feedback that, hey, the comment doesn't feel good, and then we actually broke it down to, this is the reason it doesn't feel good. Well, we try to fix that, and then you say, okay, now we got that data, we tried to fix something. Does this new data say, and when I say data, that's just people expressing their opinions about it. But do the people say this feels good now? And if so, cool, we've made an improvement. But if we're, like if we get to the end of the line of these tests and we're like, man, we were not able to fix it. It's like, yeah, it's pointless to release a game that people aren't going to want to play, So like we're lucky enough to have the runway to take the time to do these things right. And that's why we kind of, we raised money, and we've brought in a great team that can actually, pivot on these types of things, is so that if we get to the point and we're like, ooh, this didn't quite hit the mark, we can fix it.
And it's worth saying as well, like, our internal team are all people that play these games, right? So, and we internally play test what we're building, right? So it's not,
We're mean too.
yeah, it's not going to be a case of this is the first time anyone's really started to experience the game, and then it's our first wave of feedback. We're already the first wave. If we
Yeah.
don't feel like the game's hitting it for us, and we love this style of game, then it's already not getting
We'll
past the
fix it.
first gate in effect. So you would hope, and it might not be the case, but you would hope that by the time
Sure.
it gets to that player base level, even this sort of early cohorts, then we already think that it's ready for the next set of eyes, and then so we would hope that it would already be above middling at least, and then those fixes kind of take it up into the higher levels. So yeah, I think that's the value we bring really in terms of us as a team, as a group, and then that kind of like I guess trusted inner circle. I guess once we get to the point where we've built the tower out, obviously we then start to reach out to the first maybe 50 people that we just really want to just try it with before we go to like a full kind of beta release, which is why we're thinking more like that early July, because that takes a bit of time. There's all these little steps that we want to make sure we're hitting it right, so that when there's real gameplay footage out there, a lot of people are asking for gameplay. I show small bits, but ultimately when there's like real depth of gameplay being shown to the wider public, it already feels like it's in good shape. That's important.
Well, that's really cool. I'm excited. I'm excited to try it out. And whether it's a month or a few months, I'm excited either way. I like the idea. It sounds cool. The challenge around it. It's a cool, different way to experience a alpha or beta or whatever it's gonna be. I think the coolest thing that you guys have done though is actually just this podcast really, like I mean, it's not just this. This is a symptom of being so community focused, right? I think that it's so cool to get a look from the inception to implementation of a creative project. It doesn't even have to be a game per se, but anything like
Yeah.
this. And it's so rare to get a look. And to me, what it does is it builds, it makes everybody feel like they're a little bit of a part of the story, right? Because they've seen it from the very, very beginning. I remember I listened to a podcast way back in the day. I forgot the name of the podcast, but it was on like the forming of a company called Gimlet Media. And there was like a big podcast company essentially. And they had struggles and frustrations. They almost went bankrupt and all this stuff. But they did it all on a podcast. It's probably a decade ago, And I remember I felt like invested. And I feel that same
You're like,
way.
no, don't die.
Don't worry, there's no bankruptcy on this one. And they ended up selling for hundreds of millions, so they were good. But I just seeing the journey, the highs and the lows, and in the entire way, I think that's the coolest thing. I mean, so far about the Fateless and the Godforge story. It's very unique. You don't see it in the gaming space. At least I'm not aware of it.
Just getting started. I mean, and I think what it's one of the things that I've come back to this a couple times when just in discussions. We were just at GDC, and a lot of discussions at GDC. So much of it was centered around AI and kind of like this depersonalization and disconnection from communities, because so much of it is just like, well, let's just generate a bunch of it, send it out, see what people think, and then it comes back as crappy, scrap it. It comes back as pretty good. Okay, let's do more of that, because it's so easy to iterate. And I think that in the end is going to be a losing formula. I think that I see that this commoditization of all media, but games specifically, where it's like everything is going to. So a lot of this stuff has been matured. A lot of these games can be made much more quickly now, which means you have more leeway, I guess, to not be connecting with your actual customer, right? Your players. But I think that's a losing formula. I think that what we're doing, our focus so much is on, as you mentioned, community and connecting with people that are going to play the game and love the game. And I think, it's beneficial to us in so many different ways. But the thing that I love about it is it's the way that I've always loved to interact with games in general. And I think that's actually what makes us as a company, and this isn't like a commercial or something like that. This is what makes us a little bit different, is that we all come from that background. We just love being in communities and connecting and talking shop basically with other people. So it's easy to do, I guess, long and short, because we're just having fun. Like this is like the we work so many hours in a day, and I wouldn't trade any of those hours for anything else. Like we're having such a blast. Like I don't know, Simon, you probably feel the same way.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, even when we're talking about this kind of like change, at first I was thinking I don't really want to change our plan because we kind of laid something down with the community. But the more we're talking it through, I'm like, damn, I'm excited to play this and be in the mix. Like I want to be in the mix. Trying my skills against other people in the community.
Yeah, see if you can beat us.
Yeah. It's like I can almost see it on the website. It's like, here's the Fateless squad, here's the content creator teams, here's the whole community. Everyone's kind of like there on leaderboards trying to outdo each other. And suddenly I'm like, damn, I'm super pumped for this. Like this feels like
Simon's like, I can't do it, guys. I can't make the meeting. I can't make the meeting. I got work to do right now. Simon, we gotta finish this game. No, man, I'm Brad's catching up to me. I can't be a part of this.
I gotta go in and adjust some multipliers on the hero.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. He's like, actually, I got this. I got a lot of this character.
Also, by the way, top floor, bottom floor, overnight.
I'm glad you brought that up because I want to clarify. I think I misunderstood you a little bit because I have a picture of me on the Blizzard statue. I didn't get to be one of the 1,000 people.
You didn't? Oh, I thought you were. Oh, okay.
I heard you say that that's the statue you were on. I took a picture of me on the statue.
Okay.
But no, me and Darth.
Still cool.
Yeah, me and Darth and Vale, we were too busy with content. I didn't get to do the level 100.
Oh, I thought. Anyway, you guys were pretty close to it. I thought you did get on it.
I intended to try to, yeah, but I want to make sure and not
lie. What level did you get to? It was pretty high, if I recall.
Yeah, if I remember right, I did get to pretty high, but I just couldn't grind to that level when we were doing all the content and the clan stuff. But it's been years now, and I don't remember. But what's funny is there is actually someone did it in my stead. There is a chosen on the statue. So
damn. Well, you just claim that one, man. That's
man.
I'm on the statue.
Just own it.
So I can lie and say I did it.
I wonder if there's a Hades on there. I bet there's a Hades on there as well.
Yeah. I gotta find some type of samurai. Yeah, that's
there you go. Exactly.
Yeah, that's awesome. I don't know, man. So, but Ash, so are you down? Are you gonna get involved in this thing? You gonna play?
Man, of course. No, I'm not going to. No.
Well, listen, we got. Nothing expected here. We got to know.
Dude, I want to climb the tower just like anybody else, man. Absolutely. It's going to be my first chance, just like everybody else, to actually, or except for you guys, to actually get my hands on the game. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see what you guys come up with. It's intriguing that we might go down the tower. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, it might not be called the tower. We've got a bunch of different ways we can, because our lore, again, I told you, is like
depths of hell
really
or
cool.
something.
Yeah,
I don't know.
that's it, yeah.
But
there's a few ways.
It's cool. I like it because for me, sometimes going into a new game, especially in this genre, it's the accessibility is always a factor for me. We touched on it a little bit earlier, but it's always daunting. Like, oh God, a new one of these games to learn every aspect of.
New whatever.
And it seems like so much more accessible to be like, yeah, just go work on the tower. We'll give you sneak peeks of what's to come. Just go work on this one game mode. It's so much easier to someone who's busy like myself to get into and be like, okay, this is digestible. This is doable, and you guys can more easily see what people are attracted to as well that way, nice
definitely.
and easy. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm excited.
Well, I guess everyone, you should let us know what you think about this change of direction down below. Like, are you more pumped about this kind of like tower mechanic, or were you actually more like an old school, really wanted to try different game modes? Love to know in the comments down below. I guess, Tim, before we let you go, I know you've been here for a couple of podcasts now, but and you would have been seeing some of the different heroes that have been coming through. Have you got any which are either like, these are my faves so far, or these are ones that I'd love to see from different mythologies?
I want to go more like, okay, so I think way back in the day we were talking about like, I like dark aesthetics, right? I like dark, demonic or vampire.
We've had a couple come through this week that you will love, by the way. Sorry, carry on.
Okay, well, feel free to put a little teaser up if I can take a look.
I don't know if I'm allowed to say.
Yeah,
probably not.
No.
I like things that they're very gothic. Like that's my style that I really enjoy. So I don't know, what would you say is your most like gothic so far? Maybe I missed it, but like, do you have anything that's like?
So we do have Dracula in the game, and we do have Hell, who both would fit really nice. Like Hell,
we've talked about.
Cool, yeah.
Okay,
this is always the tough part. I'm like,
who have you talked about and who have you not?
Yeah.
Fair enough. I like that, and I also like in terms of like the lore, the lore. I don't know. I love that you can borrow from any lore in the world,
Yeah.
basically, as long as they're not IP. Uh,
Yeah.
but I think that like Aztecian, like that kind of gods, like those are really cool too, like the Isis and whatnot.
You
So
do like the
Yeah.
darker ones. Get ready,
I
man.
do. Oh yeah,
Get ready for the
I'm gonna be
darker ones.
excited.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dude,
Okay,
They're
cool.
so cool, man.
it's
And I
dark
like the
out
Greek
there.
gods too. I like the Thors and stuff and whatnot. Like I like the or not that Thor's a Greek god, but whatever, but Nordic. But
Yeah.
yeah, so I like that too. But like it's cool. It's so cool. One of my favorite things about the fact that you just went with gods in general, you
Myths,
know,
legends.
is that man, you guys can come up with endless patches and updates
Yeah.
exploring different areas, right? Like whether it's Dracula lore or whether it's again, like I said, it's some Aztec or Inca temple god or something. Like it's really, I love the diversity because if you don't love the Asgardian lore, then maybe you'll love the next one. There's always going to be
Yeah.
something for everybody. So it's like, it's really cool, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure, man.
I want more vampires.
More vampires.
Alucard.
Oh
Give me
man.
some
All right,
Alucard
all
or
right.
something. But
Yeah.
yeah.
No, don't show you can show Tim. Tim, keep it to yourself. All
Okay.
right, we got you. We got you.
Okay. I'll hang out. I'll hang out after we stop recording.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
all right. All right. Should we get out of here?
All right, yeah, it's been fun, guys, and thanks for the updates on everything as well. And let us know down below how good of a journalist Tim was for you. Did he get your questions in that you wanted answered? If not, I'm sure there'll be a Simon Leaks video next week, and we'll have the links down below for you to join Discord and everything to ask questions and give input as well. So, cheers, guys! It's been fun. Thanks, and we'll see you soon in the next Fateless podcast episode. Cheers.